bookstores got fucked.
Yes.
It's called Amazon.
Yeah.
You like if you owned a lot of fucking limos, you know, you got fucked. It was called Uber.
Yeah.
The music industry got confused because it looked like they got fucked with Napster and all that other shit, but it wasn't time yet. There was too many other ancillary things that they were able to control. But it's starting to get real interesting.
Because the artists, they realize they're getting fucked. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Is they're so, you know, they can look, they can read your stuff. They can go on to
Wait till the 15 biggest NBA superstars realize they're getting fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no.
They're doing it now.
They're doing it now.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, could you imagine you woke up tomorrow and you heard that LeBron, Steph, Durant, and Giannis and Westbrook have left the league, are now 50-50 partners with a billionaire and have started the World Basketball League, and we have a draft in a month?
Yeah.
I believe it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
It's game over. Because you know what? I will go watch that.
We watch, it became too top heavy.
Yeah.
I don't watch football for Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, but basketball is 13 guys.
Yeah. And they're still not getting the lion's share of the profits anyway. They're doing better.
They literally the top 20 players could own 50% of a team tomorrow with a willing billionaire.
Yeah.
If Bezos is one of them and it's airing on Amazon Prime,
American Football League.
It's a wrap.
yeah, but they don't have, like, the problem with the American Football League is they don't have stars,
That's true.
right? Like, if we all wake up and LeBron's like, yo, I'm partners with Zucks, you know, it's game over. Like, you know, if, and I don't think that's possible in baseball, hockey, or even football. You care more about too many variables. It's just too many variables. But 20 basketball players have 80% of the leverage.
Yep.
You can do it.
You're right.
Instagram, huh? Everyone's freaking out.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm laughing so hard. It's been down all day.
Yeah.
Trying to upload all day.
It's been down all day, and everybody's. It's been really nice for me because I've been yelling at everybody to diversify their platforms.
Yeah.
So you got people with 1.7 million followers on Instagram and 307 on Twitter, and everyone's on Twitter right now.
They're all fine. They're weak.
They sure are. How you been?
I've been great, man. I've been blessed, man. You know, I had a baby this year.
Congrats.
I'm a baby last year, but she just turned 1 this year.
Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So, that's my first one. That's my just doing my daddy duties and stuff like that. You know, so
I'm glad we're finally able to make this happen.
Yeah, we were just talking. I mean, he has so much going on all over the place. But we were talking about emerging artists. Like, they want to talk about the new hot guys and everything like that. Like, what's going on with the new guys, unsigned talent.
Because you're thinking about it from a label perspective or a collaboration perspective or business perspective?
Yeah, we can definitely do something like that. You know, if you're interested, like I run into so many artists that they want to have, like, a lot of labels try to turn the artist into what they see the artist could be. But I'm like more like, you know, artist development, let the artists be themselves, you know, maybe get them some ownership if possible, you know, stuff like that. Just try to make, you know, because I feel like the artist makes the label, so we need to treat this. I think the labels should start treating the artists with a little bit more respect. Like, don't just.
They're going to be forced to because unlike the world I grew up in, the labels will continuously lose leverage because things like SoundCloud and YouTube and Spotify didn't exist. The internet's the middleman.
Yep.
And until people realize that, they're going to be vulnerable. So this is the greatest era to be an artist, and it's going to get better and better and better because you can own the audience, right? I mean,
do everything yourself.
I mean, when I think about, I think no internet, I couldn't even imagine what hip hop would look like no internet. The evolutions and all the nuances to the space, it allowed artists to be artists. Some of these cats that came up SoundCloud would have never been able to do the shit they did. No label would have let them do any of that shit. You think they're putting on some of that SoundCloud shit on fucking MTV? Exactly, right?
No way.
You grew up in the music business, huh?
Yeah.
So you know, but the distribution used to have all the leverage, right? And now every day that goes by, it has less.
Until people started hitting the stores. That's how Juicy got found.
Yeah. I was doing my stuff myself, and I was fortunate to have when I got with Sony Records. they had like a subsidiary like Relativity, Alan Grunblatt, but they let us do our own thing. They was like, no, we ain't trying to change y'all. Y'all just do what y'all want to do. Y'all music is be the way y'all want to do it. Y'all promote it how y'all want to promote it. Seemed like we were selling like 200,000 copies, gold records on independent. You know what I'm saying? Making like, back then they had CDs, so we were making like $14 a CD. You know what I'm saying? And you know, you do the math on 500,000 copies on SoundScan, 14, that's a lot of money. So they saw us doing that, so they was like, man, y'all just keep doing what y'all doing. You know, we ain't gonna try to make y'all go pop or turn y'all into crossover artists. Y'all underground, just stay underground. And then we just kept doing our thing, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So they never tried to take control at all. They would say, they would give us the money, y'all make the music.
Smart.
We produced all the music, we wrote all the songs.
Smart.
You know, we promoted it ourselves. Only thing they did was just put it out.
Sounds like my book deals. I sell lots and lots of books. HarperCollins makes lots and lots of money, and they don't bother me at all.
Yeah.
That's right. That's like when you're in distribution, that's the get out of the way of the people that know.
Yep, that's it.
Unfortunately, like that's hard to do. You gotta find the right ones in that whole game. Now, the platforms are out of the way. They're not human beings. There's no sandy Spotify.
Yeah.
YouTube is not a human.
Yeah, you're right.
It's so game changing. It's why it's so fun. It's why there's so much good art. It's why it's so. I was walking the other day in the mall. I was in the mall. Jesus Christ! I just called the airport the mall. I was in the airport, and I was just looking at everybody, and I'm like, man, we are finally in a place. Like everybody looked different, right?
Yeah.
Like I was just thinking back to like the way I grew up. Like hip hop culture. Everybody wore Timbos. Everybody wore fucking the Timbos, baggy jeans. Like everyone looked exactly the same.
Yeah. Not everybody just sound the same, but not music.
That's technology.
Yeah.
But I was looking, I'm like, just everyone's different.
Yeah, they got this weird color hair, you know.
Different colored hair.
I dig it.
You know, I love it. Just like everyone's doing 100 different things.
Yeah, most def.
And like everything plays. Mm-hmm. That's what the internet did.
Yeah, the internet opened the doors. People now want to see more of, you know, like they like the music, but they want to see what's, you know, what like Instagram. Like, what is he doing all day?
100%.
Yeah, is he hanging out with his mom, hanging out with his kids, or he hanging out smoking dope, whatever. They want to see what you want to do.
There's a reason that we sit in traffic. It's because people want to watch other people. Mm-hmm. If there's an accident, we're looking. Mm-hmm. It's true. We're nosy as fuck.
And if you got something like interesting, like you got some weird color hair or some crazy gold teeth or some
especially
diamonds.
If you're first, because then everybody else does it, then it's not different anymore.
True.
And then what ends up happening is my favorite part. Who's a one-trick pony and who's not. Mm-hmm. That's the new game. Like I think everybody's gonna get their 15 minutes of fame.
Yes.
The amount of people that are gonna get 15 minutes of fame, it exists. Everybody's got followers. 9-year-olds now think about life in followers.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Likes, followers, likes.
Right? Everybody's famous.
True.
Who first can pop from the field, but the real game is when you pop and then everybody else puts face tattoos on their face, do you have a second move?
Yeah, can you be around?
That's why Madonna was Madonna.
Yeah.
She kept on changing.
That's why Lady Gaga's doing her thing. If you have real talent.
Yeah, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years.
It's crazy, is that right?
Yep, 30 years.
Man, I'm old as fuck. That just hurt me in my heart.
Yep. Started with 3 6 Mafia, then I, did my solo thing and still been rolling. 30 years.
Fuck.
Won an Academy Award, wrote a song for a movie.
I remember. That must have been crazy, huh?
Man, bless him, man. Yeah,
the neighborhood must have liked that one.
Oh yeah, they went crazy. I mean, like, hey, people still congratulate me today. I went to the Oscars this time. And they were like, hey man, congrats. I was like, man, that's like 10 years ago. They're like, man, you still shining with it though, man. Like,
I'd probably wear that shit around my neck if I had one.
I used to carry it everywhere. It's at the house. I used to carry it everywhere with me.
Really?
Man, with the clubs,
I would too, man.
Bars. I got free food with that. The night I won it, the guy gave me the free food.
Having an Academy Award like in hand back in the day, that's like having 15 million Instagram followers. That is real flex. That still flexes.
They were talking about the Monday playlist. They were talking about Lil Key. We're talking about Zaz Sosa.
Zaz Sosa's gonna be so big.
Exactly. And like, they're like on the same wave as us. You know what I mean?
So are you thinking about it, Jerry, are you thinking about it from a standpoint of like being smart about collaborations that really like completely penetrate you into the state of the moment, or actually like signing these kids? Like, how are you thinking about it personally?
Like, I got a deal.
You got a lot of flexibility. You could go about it in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I got a deal on the table right now with Columbia. We hadn't signed it yet, and I love Columbia. I've been with them like pretty much all my life. Yeah, since I was 23. I signed a deal when I was like 23. So I've been under Columbia. It's the whole Sony family. But you know, and I got a deal on the table right now. They want me to maybe be president over there. So we're still negotiating. But you know, I'm weighing my options. You know what I'm saying? Like, my thing is like, I want to do something different. Like, stir the music game up, get the artist development. You know, pay attention to the artists a little bit more. You know, maybe give them a little bit of ownership, stuff like that, and ideas, and you know, just kind of embrace the artist, because the artist is what makes the company.
Have you thought about other businesses? Like, how do you guys think about leveraging the brand and leverage and the iconic nature, and like whether it's fashion or events or alcohol or bubble gum?
Weed.
Yeah, cannabis is.
We're doing
I'm
that.
very aware you guys are doing it with us.
Yeah,
Green
yeah.
Street.
Yeah. So
I'm super happy about that.
yeah,
That's gonna work.
Yeah.
I've been keeping a close eye on it.
Yeah.
I'm a big weed head, so I love weed. You know, that weed is definitely. I mean, that's a given. You know, we can do that all day. You know what I'm saying?
I think
Please.
I think Juicy's ready to.
And break it down for me, this crew. You're filming, you're creative.
I'm a friend of Mike's.
Love
Yeah,
it.
he introduced us to mixed biology.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Love.
Love.
So I've been managing for obviously a long time. So I've been doing it.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, my guy. I appreciate it.
Fred Coates.
Hopefully you buy those jets.
I'm trying, my guy.
You're tight end.
I'm trying.
Good.
Fred and Darren.
Introducing the squad.
Yeah, Fred and Darren and I.
That's it.
Oh my God.
Fred, Darren, and I manage Juicy as well as other things. So we've been, we're the.
When did you start in the business?
Yeah, no, my guy. I follow this guy. I know everything.
Oh shit. So,
Okay.
4, 5.
And was it rock and roll at first?
Rock and roll and comedy. I've been doing rock and roll and comedy.
Comedy.
For a long time.
A little show called Mad About
I
You.
had a show, man, about you.
Talk to me.
Tori Amos at the same time.
Oh man, she was so
Perfect
big.
Circle, Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Talk to me. So 74, you got into it?
Yeah.
Just for my own. This is where I think history tells the future. My biggest hot take on the whole SoundCloud, Lil Pump, all that shit is that it's rap at the maturity that rock and roll was when punk rock started.
Yep.
So it's like, right? Like
Energy,
same everything.
Totally.
Fight the establishment, like fuck you, J. Cole, like what? That's what they fucking did to Rolling Stones. Like, you know, same shit. Same shit. So since you were in the game, right? You started in 74. Shit got white hot with punk in New York, like 78, 79, right?
Not white hot.
Okay.
It was underground.
Yep. And what was everyone's take on it?
They were scared.
The kids were liking it.
The kids were loving it.
The Clash, all that shit.
They were scared of it. They were scared. They were scared of CBGBs. They were scared of Madame Wong's downtown. I saw the police downtown. They were driving around in a station wagon. They were afraid. And all of a sudden it became mainstream, like everything else, like rap at the time.
Of course.
Was underground. Everybody was
Of
scared
course.
it. But rap, hip hop has become worldwide cultural.
Yes.
It's gone way beyond because of the social, because of the ability to reach the planet in 5 seconds. You put out one of your posts, kids are reading about it in Belarus.
100%.
So it's
Maybe not Belarus because that fucker's a dictator and doesn't let them have internet. But for sure.
But that's and I think that's where we're.
Such interesting timing because the music landscape changed so much because of MTV. Like it's crazy.
MTV. Yeah, I remember the first time.
I actually think the most, I do a lot of history on like culture. I actually think like social networks most remind me of what MTV did. Like MTV changed the landscape. People didn't want to make videos for MTV, the original bands, because they thought it was free music.
Yes.
It's like mixtapes, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember when you came, we really started like looking. I remember being so fascinated all that mixtape stuff we were doing, and I remember just being fascinated. As a businessman, I'm like, are these artists and labels smart enough to understand how important mixtapes were?
Yeah.
And at the time, back in 08, 7, 5, 6, there was still like a rub, right? Like a mixtape when you're signed.
yeah,
It's so much more accepted now.
Yeah.
Because the macro like labels understand the promotional value.
Some.
I remember a long time
That's
ago.
absolutely fair. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I remember when I started doing my mixtapes, Columbia they used to call my phone, stop putting out free music, stop putting out free music. And all of a sudden, I got a hit record, Bands Make a Dance, it blew up, and then it was on a mixtape, and then they called, they didn't even know that I was signed with them. They had got like a new staff.
They're like, would you sign with us? You're like,
Yeah.
motherfucker, I'm signed with you.
That's what happened, just like that.
I believe you.
And I was like, y'all crazy as hell.
By the way, it's the same way I think about content on social.
Yeah.
All my shit's free.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody else is trying to get you into a funnel to buy to buy some sort of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's what YouTube has become. YouTube has become just a commercial. It's just like going to a supermarket now. Nothing is adventurous there because they shut it down because of Unilever or somebody like that saying, no, you can't do it.
Yep.
Well, he's experiencing that, and what he's talking about is that he's experiencing that on some of his other clients that are some of the writer center, and we're seeing that YouTube is stopping their traction on some of the.
But they're also stopping it on anything that's adventurous.
Yeah, I mean, look, listen, follow the money. When headlines come out that say ads are running on pedophile content, and they don't have the tech to shut down pedophiles, but not something adventurous, they have to make a decision. And what they're doing now, inevitably, because I understand Google well enough, is all they're trying to do is get their tech good enough. They're thrilled for adventurous. They're scared fuckless when Unilever or McDonald's or Coca-Cola pull all ads until you prove to me that my ad won't show up on a pedophile.
Well, if you go back in time, if you know the name Dolores Tucker.
Help me there.
Dolores Tucker was the activist in New York who, at the time when Time Warner was getting ready to do their cable license, and she came out and said hip hop is horrible. It's horrible for society, blah, blah, blah. That forced Time Warner,
I remember the story.
to sell it. That's how Universal wound up getting it. Because she put up such a stink, one woman and whatever her crew was, they put up such a stink in New York, and the Time Warner license for the cable was much more important.
I remember that. I saw that in a doc. Tipper Gore. That's when Tipper Gore got
It
involved.
was the same thing.
Yeah, I remember.
All of a sudden, artists had
The rating on the package. I remember.
All of a sudden, it started neutering the adventurous artists because they started getting afraid. And the record companies.
Yeah. The amazing part of the world is internet.
Yeah.
Show me.
But kind of going full circle to what we're talking about is, what we're hopefully going to be doing soon with the other situation. Want to fuck up the music business now. Really disrupt the music business in a way.
Are you able to in the framework of that?
Not with that, it'll help.
It'll help.
But I'm saying that within this, when you say, what could we do? That kind of situation, because the world is ready for it.
And you'll appreciate this. I think everybody here knows it. It already happened.
True.
Like, right?
Sure.
Now it's riding the wave.
Okay.
Right this second, some kid in Toronto who's 16 years old literally just now recorded some shit on free software, put it on SoundCloud, and in 43 weeks, all of us are gonna be like, yo, he's next.
He's gonna sign him.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
The record companies are running, they're still scared, they're still waiting, they're looking for their stats. If they don't have the stats, they ain't gonna do it.
The biggest problem they have is their big artists are just not as big as they used to be. Not because Katy Perry or Taylor Swift or Jay-Z are not big, they're huge. It's just everyone's amortized. There's a long tail. Every listen that Killy gets is a listen that Jay-Z doesn't.
Yeah.
But they're not moving quick enough.
They don't have the
They're not
economic
signing.
rationale for it.
They're not signing the Suicide Boys. They're not signing these younger artists that are coming to Juicy's door every day, every week
And I'm gonna
saying,
call a timeout on that because did you guys discuss what Juicy did and try to
No,
put the power
no.
in his own hands? So the GOAT that he is, we call him the GOAT. He was
That's what happens when you've been in the fucking game for 30 years. That just means you're old as fuck. Go ahead.
He's the GOAT. What he did was, because as in sports, I like to he's a gym rat, he's in that studio nonstop.
Such an advantage.
That's just what he does.
Yep.
So he's like, look, I've noticed that there's no artist development anymore really and things of this nature. You know what? Tech, that's his nickname, Tech. create a CRM or some kind of funnel, so I can just say, hey, you got music, you got this on my Instagram. Go to Juicy Talent search at gmail.com.
Yeah.
In 2 days, 12,000 emails came.
100%.
Non-stop.
And then you're listening, 90% is shit. Well, but only
98% sure.
Yeah.
98% is shit.
Bulk where it's like, who
Guess
the
what?
fuck
One.
is that?
That's it.
One.
That's all you
And
need.
it's like, who is
all
that?
you need.
Scooter found Justin Bieber on YouTube. There was a lot of shit on there.
Yeah, there was, especially at that time.
That's it.
So what's happening is that he and there's A-list artists, I'm gonna put him on blast, but that come to him like in our studio sessions, and they'll just pull up, like, you know, Juicy, you know, what's going on beat wise? I need a sound. I need this.
What's hot? Because he's in this. Listen, you're either close to the street or you're not.
Yeah.
It's not super complicated. It's a binary game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Right?
asked me to help them out with their deals too. They be like, man, how much publishing should I be getting off this? And mechanical royalties and that.
That's real. You know, it's funny. I say a lot, and I was hearing. Obviously, you've heard. Like I always say, it's either information or it's entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can do both,
Yeah.
then you can be a goat.
So we're at this point where it's like,
Appreciate it.
hey, how do we get these artists on board and nurture them, and you know,
Blow them up.
put them in certain arenas where they can blow up?
This is, you know, this is inevitable.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Steve Stout with his model.
Yeah.
The platforms are doing it naturally themselves. The kids are so into entrepreneurship that they're like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. Like the internet, like I laugh. I'm like, Uber's not Amazon. Like bookstores got fucked.
Yeah.
It's called Amazon.
Yeah.
You like if you owned a lot of fucking limos, you know, you got fucked. It was called Uber.
Yeah.
The music industry got confused because it looked like they got fucked with Napster and all that other shit, but it wasn't time yet. There was too many other ancillary things that they were able to control. But it's starting to get real interesting.
Because the artists, they realize they're getting fucked. That's the
Yeah.
thing, is they're so, you know, they
Yeah.
can look, they can read your stuff, they can go on to
Wait till the 15 biggest NBA superstars realize they're getting fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no.
They're doing it now.
They're doing it now.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, could you imagine you woke up tomorrow and you heard that LeBron, Steph, Durant, and Giannis and Westbrook have left the league, are now 50-50 partners with a billionaire and have started the World Basketball League, and we have a draft in a
Why
month?
not?
I believe it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
It's game over. Because
Yeah.
you know what? I will go watch that.
We watch, it became too top heavy.
Yeah.
I don't watch football for Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, but basketball is 13 guys.
Yeah.
And they're still not getting the lion's share of the profits anyway.
Wow.
They're doing better.
They literally the top 20 players could own 50% of a team tomorrow with a willing billionaire.
Yeah.
If Bezos is one of them and it's airing on Amazon Prime,
American Football League.
It's a wrap.
yeah, but they don't have, like, the problem with the American Football League is they don't have stars,
That's true.
right? Like, if we all wake up and LeBron's like, yo, I'm partners with Zucks, you know, it's game over. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if, and I don't think that's possible in baseball, hockey, or even football. You care more about too many variables. It's just too many variables. But 20 basketball players have 80% of the leverage.
Yep.
You can do it.
You're right.
I'm shocked people haven't did that overseas already, like the overseas. Like,
Well, there was a little bit of, like, you see a little bit of it with like the soccer players that are a very similar spot.
yeah.
There's 20 of them that run shit. That's just a global 365 day a year. It's so fragmented to begin with.
Yeah.
Between their tournaments and their leagues and the, you know? I don't know, the NBA players are getting smarter and smarter by the second.
They're doing shorter contracts. I noticed a lot of NBA players doing a lot of shorter contracts.
Because they have, what really gets interesting is TV deals. So we have a sports agency, my brother and I, and we're paying attention more to when the collective bargaining agreement comes up.
Very soon.
And they'll strike or not strike, or there'll be a lockout and not, but at the end result, when the TV contracts come up, it's what happened in the NBA. When the TV money massively increased, that's why we all freaked out when average players were getting big ass numbers
27 mil,
for like sixth men.
Conley, 90 mil.
And that's because there's only fucking 15 guys. You only gotta pay 12, 15 guys.
Yeah.
And all that money, it's gotta go somewhere.
Yeah.
NBA players got paid.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
No,
They did.
They did.
They deserve it, man. We watch that shit all day, Every day.
But it's the same thing to go back to with the children. You know, I have, you know, cousins and friends, 12 years old, 13 years old. Hey, you know, we're all in the music business. I want to get a label deal one day. Now it's no, I want my masters. I keep my pub. I heard Jay-Z. I heard this person. I heard Juicy. I heard. Nah, I don't need a label. SoundCloud, TuneCore, I'm lit.
100%.
Yeah, they can post
Kids,
this.
tell them
Yeah.
like.
I'm gonna sell hoodies on Shopify. They're
yeah.
entrepreneurs.
Lit.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. I was just living my life. I got caught up in like the macro. It's not like I masterminded. Entrepreneurship got big. I just happened to be there.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Right? Just like athletes. You got 6 men in the NBA who are gonna make more money this year than Dr. J made in his career.
Yeah.
Timing.
Yeah.
I'm just running businesses. I wasn't thinking about like cool people were gonna fucking think I was cool. Get the fuck out of here. Right? It's just timing.
Yep,
The
time.
music business is the same thing, because they got trapped in these 360 deals.
100%.
They're fucking artists.
100%.
Yeah.
But look, artists took the fucking check.
Yeah.
That 360 deal sounded exciting. Wait, for TV and stage and live events, and maybe I won't even do that many and I'll fucking cash it. I'll fucking bullshit that appearance. I'm supposed to be here 3 years. I'm not working. I'm
Yeah.
showing up for 40 minutes. I'm a rapper. Get the fuck out of here. Like, right?
Yeah.
Listen, don't take the check.
Well, that's the reason why the longevity shrunk.
100%.
It died.
100%. Plus, honestly, my favorite part, talent.
Yeah.
Talent for me is my favorite. Like, it's not easy to write the first great book, to have the first great album, but you just lived your whole life. Especially if you write for that first album, it's your life.
Oh,
And
what else
right?
to dip into?
You have your whole life and you write it.
Yeah.
And it pops because it's true, it's you, and if you're a good writer, if you're a good writer, if you can really storytell, you can paint a picture, it's your unique picture. When Eminem started talking about being white trash with a mom like that resonated with a whole genre of nobody who ever talked like that. The problem is, what do you do next?
And that was the problem.
It's funny, I remember the Jay-Z like song where he talks about like fucking against like really expensive paintings.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking how smart that was. Because I remember thinking how that's what he should be doing. No, it's not gonna, like most people don't fuck the hottest girl in the world on an $80 million fucking painting.
Yeah.
But it's better to tell your truth. Otherwise you're not saying anything.
Because that's where he's at.
That's where he's at.
Yeah. Yeah. People,
He's buying art.
they love to grow with you, you know what I'm saying? Because I know nobody's gonna stay the same.
It's always, relevance always matters.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest reasons Jay-Z doesn't have as much of a youthful audience is that delta's enormous.
Yes.
You're 15 in the hood, you can't even be thinking about $80 million paintings, so
Yeah.
you're gonna fuck with Baby. You know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for the people that are 43 and 44, maybe, you're not in the millions, but maybe when you started listening to Hove, you were fucking working at McDonald's, and maybe now you make, even if you're making 40 or 100K, at least you're grown up.
Yeah.
At least you know what a painting is.
Yeah. True.
And that's been super, I've been thinking a lot about just speaking your truth. Like when I think about why does my content work, I only talk about what's actually happening. This is why I fuck with T Grizzly.
Right.
This is why I'm betting long on T Grizzly. I was just, like, he said something, like we were in studio and he said something to the degree of like, I just only write about what I actually lived. And I remember looking at him like, if you do that in perpetuity, you got something.
And his story is real. From college.
Yeah, he's got his,
jewelry story.
yeah, he's got his real story. But again, everybody's got that struggle, then they get paid. Their identity was the struggle in the hood, but now they're living in the suburbs of Bergen County and they're scared to go there, and I'm telling them like, go there. Talk about the feeling that you felt when you bought your mom a house. Tell that whole story. Tell the whole story. The truth is where I guess the punchline of my little rant here.
Well, no, it's funny because Juicy tells us all the time. He was like, you got in LA, you had to get out.
Yeah. When I came here, I was after we won the Academy Award, I bought a house here. I was just balling and kicking it.
How old were you?
I was like 30, 31.
You were finished.
I was going crazy. Then all of a sudden I just felt like, the show started going down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Phone ringing as much. And my brother was asking me, my brother would come out here from Memphis. He was like, what y'all doing, man? What y'all doing? Y'all buzz is falling off, man. Y'all got to get in the studio and make some more music. And then I was like, man, you're right, man. So I sold my house and I always had a house in Memphis. I just went back to Memphis and started just doing the same things I was doing back when I started grinding. Like,
I can't believe you just said that. I see why you're shaking your head, Caleb. I've been saying for the last 6 months a lot, randomly and shit like this. I don't understand how people understand that the thing that you fucking did to get you there is the thing that gets you to the next level. But people think once you get to a level, now you gotta change it.
yeah.
I think that's when you gotta double down on it. Especially in hip hop music, man. The streets are the only thing that's the currency.
Man, I went to the same street corners. I hung out with the same people. I went to the hood shop videos and just soaked up all that energy. And I was like, man, this is what I've been
And
missing.
especially if you put it through the filter of new shit you saw in LA, you mix it a little, I think people go 100 from the street, then they go to LA and it's 100. And I think the game for me is 100 from the street, now you go to LA and you live a different life. When you go back to the street, you take 80 of that, but you mix it with 20 of the new shit.
And that's what I did. I came back to LA and I was like, man, I felt like I lost something. Once I went back to Memphis and I said, man, I'm finna go back to LA. I felt like I didn't lose nothing. When I touched down back in the city in Los Angeles, I would never listen to the radio. So I felt like the radio was really messing my head up because the music's different, you know.
Man, it's really, the visual I just had was like, eat caviar with a 40. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Mix
True.
it,
No.
high low.
True.
It's funny. Common, got a student of rap. I mean, it's my culture.
Yeah, of course.
I live this stuff. Common says that he had to sometimes get on the train in Chicago
Just to,
because he was
To
like,
level up.
He said he came to LA.
you ready for this? This is the single reason I'm winning on social. I still post every post. I write every comment. I'm in the trenches, I'm in my craft. That's me.
Yeah.
You gotta be, man.
And
That's why-
on LinkedIn.
And doubling down on LinkedIn.
I'm seeing that.
And like that's the corniest, like that doesn't seem right.
But it's prime.
But when you're in the trenches, you know it's right. You're not worried about that. You know what I'm really fascinated by with you specifically? And just like, like something just happened that really like works for me. The Jonas Brothers. I think once you build a brand and you're iconic, you're always in play until the end.
Yep.
You just have to be contemporary.
Yeah. It just went #1. Phil Mack, yeah.
It's just, there's so much pent up actual fandom.
Oh.
When they do a tour on this, probably definitely.
Do you know how many people listening to the audio of this probably right now in 3 weeks as a podcast smiled when you said 3 6 Mafia? Because you smiled to a place like I did it. You like, I literally thought about Moose and I thought about like dumb shit we were doing. Just takes you to a place. Do you know how many 40-year-old women that heard that Jonas Brothers rebooted lost their damn minds?
Yes.
Because they thought back to, or 35, 30,
Yes.
They remember those times when those songs came out and it was at those concerts.
100%.
And like, wow, I remember that. I'm gonna. That's why they concerts gonna sell out.
2 words, Frank Sinatra.
100%.
He was a
100%.
rock star.
It's what Vegas does now based on that DNA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once you get to that icon place, like
Yes.
Cher and Celine
You're
Dion,
an
and
artist.
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys.
always have fans.
Yeah.
But if you could, but where I think it's real interesting is you always have fans, but like to me it was the Tony Bennett Lady Gaga thing.
Okay.
It's why I like want you to do a song with Keed. Like there's such an equal trade. I think an established icon rapper and a up and coming SoundCloud rapper, the trade is similar to like, and I always think about them as like the little bit older guy with the younger lady. There's a trade going on there. You understand?
Yeah.
Both parties are winning.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
both-
They have two different agendas.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
getting schooled on the game, having a mentor.
Yeah.
But look, when that song comes out and all those 14-year-olds like, who's that?
Yeah.
Because they don't know.
Yeah.
People take it for granted, but they don't.
You're right.
I'm very hot on high-low. And then I'm into genre mix. I was telling Nipsey, I had dinner with Nipsey the other day. I was like, motherfucker, listen to K-pop, listen to country. And he's like, but it's not authentic. I'm like, no. Listen, and if you hear something that you're like, yo, that was fresh. And then you do a little Googling, and then you call him and be like, yo, bro, in South Korea, what you about? Oh, you grew up with a struggle? oh, you're my guy. If you're in LA, come through. And then all of a sudden, and then it becomes authentic, and then you come out with a Nipsey Hussle K-pop song, and the next thing you know, you're in fucking Asia making $4 million a show.
Yeah.
That's I mean, I wish I had musical skills. I'd be the #1 artist in the world. I genuinely believe it.
Because you would pick.
Yeah.
Look what I'm doing.
It's reverse engineering.
Instagram is the culture.
Yeah, I done the country. I just did a country song with an artist.
Yeah.
I made the beat and everything. Well, I actually co-produced the beat.
Country
You're not in it.
Yeah.
I want you to be in it as a lyricist. I want you to be on a song with fucking Blake Shelton.
That'd be dope.
I like breaking culture like that.
Yeah.
That would work. That's how you win.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, go look at the math the way I look at it. Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift's song, what that did for Kendrick, people don't understand.
It brought in a whole new audience that never.
At scale.
Yeah.
And leverage.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a dope idea. Yeah.
And when you're a great artist, you can get away with it all day long. People are scared, like, oh, I don't want to sell out this. I'm like, you're not thinking.
Hey, when I did that song, I did a song with Katy Perry. When I did that song, it was right today. I'm still performing that song. They go crazy. Like,
Crazy.
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I saw it at the studio. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he was early with Young Nudie. Like before Nudie was really popping at all, he was on Nudie's mixtape.
Like my biggest thing is that I just want to bring value, and then my main goal in life is to bring more value to every relationship that they bring to me, and then never have to call in that variable. I like knowing it exists. I really love what people that I bring value to say behind my back. And then my hope is that I don't fuck up enough or nothing tragic happens where I'd actually need those chips. I'm trying to put chips. I know they're there. And by the way, the best part, I know that I put in chips, and like this has already happened in my life. I put in chips, I go to take a couple out, and they don't have them for me. For some reason, it doesn't fuck with me. When you give without expectation, truly, not you're smart and you're giving, and in 4 years you're like, okay, when he's a superstar, you know? When you actually just give because you just think in the macro, somebody's watching, then you can really live happy. That's why I'm so happy. Like, I know I have the leverage, and I know if the person doesn't pay back on what I did right, it doesn't, you know what's even funny? It isn't even like fuck them, it's just like,
Fuck it.
you said it right. That's why I jumped at it. It's like maybe some shit's fucked up with them at that moment. Maybe they fucked it. Like, you know, like I just genuinely believe that people have to worry about them. Like humans default into that, and I'm okay with that. I'm empathetic. So I named it Empathy Wines.
That's how it happened. Yeah.
All right, I gotta bounce.
Cool.
Appreciate it.